Hello. So you want to teach yourself to play the guitar. You've heard about all these other musicians, Eric Clapton, Hendrix, the rest of them. They've all been self-taught. And so you look for someone to teach you. Well, that's not not being self-taught. Back in the days where these people were teaching themselves, there were no YouTube videos. There was no There was maybe the guy at the music store. Maybe there's a classroom in your high school for learning how to play something. And so you learn by listening or going to these classes and listening to some lectures. But nowadays, being self taught is a different thing. Because of YouTube, being self taught means not using YouTube. And this is something that people won't be able to do or respect because YouTube is so ubiquitous in the day to day life of learning something nowadays that, yes, for me to tell you, yes, don't use YouTube to learn something is kind of it might sound counterproductive. But in a moment here, I'm going to show you why you don't want to do everything that you see on YouTube. There are some things that are good and some things that are just going to be detrimental to you just learning the guitar. Now, to do this, I'm going to give you 5 standard rules of starting out being self-taught because first of all, I'm 65 years old. I started playing guitar about a month into the pandemic. I went up to Amazon and I decided that since was going to be a lockdown, that hey, we're going to be locked down and I have to have something to do. Maybe I'll learn how to play the guitar. So my experience in being self-taught is not from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, even as old as I am. It's from just 3 years ago. And as a result of this, what I'm telling you now is things that directly, I've either done or come against or overcome. Now, the first thing, this is going to be a very long video, but everyone tells me that you need to have long videos on YouTube. But I'm going to do it anyway. The thing is that if you want to really learn this thing, the guitar, um, you will have to have a set of rules to play by. Now, the first rule, you have to buy a guitar, not borrow one, not um, shop for one, or anything else. You actually have to buy a guitar. Now, the reason for this, and the reason that buying a guitar is so critical to becoming a self-taught guitar player is more than likely if I give you a price range and I say you can go on Amazon and buy a half-size guitar or three-quarter size guitar for $40, then you will do that. But the thing is, the reason you want to buy just any guitar you can afford is because you want to make that mistake of buying a guitar that either doesn't play well, a guitar that is not suited for yourself, a guitar that you just don't like the sound of. And you won't know any of this stuff if you watch a YouTube video with people telling you, yeah, buy this, buy that, buy this is cheap, this is not cheap, blah, 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 blah. But if you go on Amazon, if you go to your local guitar center or anything like that, and you actually put out the cash on a guitar, then you will pay attention to what you're doing. When I bought this guitar, the first thing I noticed was it was broken. It was my first guitar and it was broken. And the thing is, I learned how to fix it. And So when you're going to be self-taught, you want to not only be self-taught about music, you want to be self-taught about the instrument that you're playing. And to do that, you have to have a reason to want to learn this information. And my learning process started when this guitar came not pristine condition and in the package and sounding great. It came from buying a guitar purposely online because when they were going to sell this guitar, it was 77 euros normally. But then they said, we have the last one. We'll sell you that last one for 40 bucks. And I did. I bought it. And of course, the reason it was the last one is because it was broken. So I had to learn how to fix an acoustic guitar. Now, this goes into the part about YouTube that you can trust. That you bought a guitar, you want to learn how to fix it, then you can go on YouTube and there will be videos to show you how to do this. And this part of the learning process, YouTube is very good for. Now, once you have your guitar, the first thing everyone always asks is, well, now the package ride, unboxing video, and everything else, and now look at that beautiful guitar. What the hell do I do? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. The first rule is to buy a guitar that you can afford. And the second rule is coming up right now. The first thing you want to do is never play scales. Don't play scales. Scales will ruin you because your future as a guitarist are going to be based on your musical talents, taste, and the environment that you're in. And scales are a thing that is made, they are made that no matter who plays them or who's listening to them, they're going to be exactly the same. Well, being self-taught means that you don't want to do everything exactly the same. Because if you did exactly the same, then you would go to school. Because this is where everybody learns how to do exactly the same thing. So if you're gonna go into this thing where you want to do exactly the same thing, learn scales and everything else, yes, go to music school, take theory, do all this stuff. But if you're gonna be self-taught, throw all that crap out the window because you don't need it. Now, you might be younger and you might have 30 years in front of you or 50 years in front of you, but when you're an older, self-taught musician, then what's going to happen is you just don't have time. I'm 65 years old. I don't know if I'm going to live to be 95 years old. I don't have 30 years in front of me. I might have a good 10 if I'm lucky, and if I'm very lucky, I'll have a good 20 in front of me. And I don't want to spend them going through everyone else's lectures about how to use a pentatonic scale and the diatonic scale and this scale and that scale. No, I don't want to do this. I want to play music. So yes, never play scales. Just stop right there. You know, these videos on show you how to do these scales and do these things, right? Don't watch them. Watch the repair one. Buy your guitar. If it needs to be fixed, if it needs to be have some adjustments done, then watch the videos about how to be your own luthier and adjust and fix and repair your own guitar. But don't watch any videos about playing scales. Eddie Van Halen and the rest of them, yes, they learned their scales, but they learned them later on. Just stop. Yeah, so number two is never play scales. Okay, now we get to the real big one here because this one's going to be something that you just won't be able to resist doing. Don't play songs. Don't, if you have a favorite song, whether it be Over the Rainbow or Blinded by the Lights or something like this, don't spend your time, your precious energy, trying to emulate someone else's style and get the notes right on one particular song. Because being self-taught means that you want to teach yourself But if you start using songs and having the song teach you how to play the guitar, then invariably what will happen is you will always have to look to a song to teach you how to play something because you won't have it in your own head. You'll have to sit down and listen to Imagine 100 times and then play it 1,000 times. And then after you learn Imagine, then you can take this whatever you learned while playing this song and maybe put it into another song. But you're using the song Imagine in order to learn how to play the guitar, and that's not a good thing because the next time when you want to play something, then you won't be able to improvise. You won't be able to think for yourself because you'll always have learning how to play the guitar by learning how to play a particular song is like learning how to play the guitar from sheet music. And if you try if you're trying to learn how to play the guitar from sheet music, you will always go and look for sheet music in order to play the guitar. Now so that's rule number 3. Number 1, buy a guitar. Number 2, never play scales. Number 3, never play songs that you know. Pretend this is Inception. Never create a dream from places that you know already. Now we come to number 4. Number 4 is also going to be super hard for everyone. Now, the thing is, in order for me to help you teach yourself, then I have to kind of see what you're going to be doing or where you start out. You have to have a baseline. And this is not just for me to have it on this channel to kind of like dig into your life a little bit and play teacher, but it's also to see if what I'm showing you, what I'm teaching you is effective way of learning. Because no one on YouTube is going to be telling you stuff like this. And it's it's always going to be music theory. It's always going to be this, do this, whiteboards and all kinds of shit. But I'm just going to tell you how to learn how to play the guitar from the seat of your pants without knowing shit. And if you're an old guy like me, you don't have lots of time, then you don't want to spend a lot of time learning lots of shit. You just want some music. Okay, so this number 4 rule is very important. Upload a video of yourself, a video on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, of you playing your new guitar and not knowing shit. Because you need this baseline. You need to have this in front of you to tell you, to show you where do I begin? And yeah, just don't do an unboxing video for heaven's sake. Please don't do another goddamn unboxing video. Just pick up your guitar, hit record, and play with the strings for a while. This is because, and you're gonna have to touch your guitar sooner or later. And when you start becoming familiar with it, you don't want to become familiar with it like it's a 1950s date where you're being chaperoned by playing chords or scales. You want to just get right in there and get to the loving part. And the loving part is just picking up your guitar, strumming it one time, maybe hitting it, doing things. This is the things that you have to get used to. The feeling of actually having a guitar in front of you as an instrument of something of your thinking process, not as something that is a job where hey, now I have a guitar and I have to play the scale. Yeah, no, you don't want that. You want to make the guitar kind of like your invisible friend, and yeah, it's pick it up and it's like yeah, you don't think about it. Your hands just do stuff and music comes. If you have to think about it, then yeah, then you got the wrong video again. You can't teach yourself by thinking too much. So upload a video of yourself. This will help not only yourself and your learning process, but if you subscribe to my channel and you say, hey, look, this is what I did and it worked, then I will go to your channel and then I will see what you've done, and then I will just say, hey, that did work, and then I will take your content and then give some reinforcement on what I what you learned from me, and then it worked, and then I will say, yep, it worked, and that's the whole reason for you just uploading something. And it has to be just when you first get your guitar because we want to start from the bass line. Okay, now comes number 5. Rule number 5 is pretty easy. Uh, you have to. Rule number 5 is practice, not knowing. If you hear something and you can remember how it sounds, don't go on YouTube and find a video for Stairway to Heaven, how to play Stairway to Heaven. Just have the song in your memory and then practice playing that song just from memory. And this is you don't want to again, you don't want to limit yourself by always having to hear the song in order to learn how to play it. You just want to play it from your memory and then translate your memory into the guitar. So this is a pretty easy thing to do, right? Now, I'm going to give you something here that you can do that will help you along just a little bit. With when I say you just pick up your guitar, take it out of the box, and then get familiar with it. Now, one of the things about getting familiar with the guitar is just strumming it, tuning and strumming. So let's see. Okay, so this is fairly in tune. I always have the first string a little bit lower than normal. I like that dumpy sound. But what will happen here is that I'm gonna just strum, and I'm not gonna hold any. I'm just gonna use this hand, and just I'm just gonna sit here and listen to what happens when my fingers hit the strings. Yeah, I forgot a really, really important thing. Really, really important thing. And it's probably not part of the 5 rules, but it should be. Never, ever, ever pick up a plectrum, a pick. Don't use these. If you think you want to have long fingernails or you want to have a pick or something like this to play the guitar, if you're going to be self-taught, get this idea out of your head. This will cause you no end of problems. Being a self-taught musician, a plectrum will just ruin you, and play. It will you will compromise yourself in having to play your music in a certain style, and your hands on your fingers, they are much more versatile, and so they are your fingers on your hand are much more open to all genres of music. Whereas when you get a plectrum in your hand, so somehow it becomes limiting. So maybe that's rule number 6. Never use a pick. Okay, so let's get on to the strumming. Now the only thing I'm listening for, I'm just strumming with my thumb, and now I'm going to use my index finger on the upstroke. Now, I play like this because I've sat here and listened to myself strumming before. And then I just, one day, after I was listening to a certain, like how my hand becomes everyone has a certain pattern with their hand that they will discover when they start strumming a guitar. And I just kept listening for that pattern. which strings. And then after I found that pattern of strumming, then I decided that I was going to do things like just relax my index finger, do the same pattern, but relax my index finger. And then this is what happens. And so this is also going to be a thing, because I'm going to be teaching you this stuff, but it's also that even after just 3 years, I have gotten into a habit of, I hear certain things on the guitar strings, and so my hand automatically goes into those patterns. And this is why you want to be self-taught, because if someone asks me to play a particular song, I may not be able to do it note for note, chord for chord, or anything like that, but I could find a set of patterns in my library of patterns that will suit that song. And I don't know if you've ever watched all of these videos that say, hey, you can learn 100 songs by just knowing these 4 chords or this chord progression. Well, it's actually kind of true. And so for me to learn all of that stuff, I don't have to do that. I just have to find some patterns. And you want to play, like right now, I have learned some patterns of picking certain strings and listening for each. I listen for the sound that I want. But in the beginning, I just kind of did this. And just tried to repeat stuff. I went fast, slow, in between. I just was trying to make sounds. And then after I learned how to make a particular sound, then I add that to my library of patterns that I can replicate over and over again with my hand. And this is what you really want to do when you get your guitar. And now this video has gotten very long, and I'm going to just kind of end it out here with some one-handed play, just so you get the. So that's this is now. Later on I'm gonna do some other videos on what kind of patterns you want to try and find, because you want to find stuff that's easy for your hand to find. Well, that's all for now, you guys. Have a good day.